Hello everyone. I just wanted to make this quick video to demonstrate some of the features that I'm talking about in the email that I'm going to send you also. I figured it'd just be a little bit easier to see them this way. And just to go over what I've worked on this week and then what we're going to plan to do in the next week. You should be able to see the main landing page right now, and you can already see a couple of changes. First, we have a fancy new logout button right up here that will actually log you out. You'll also see that we have some current assigned hotel workflows over here. And this is going to be the core of the file status system that we talked about in the meeting. Let's look over that first. I think that'll be the most interesting thing to look at. In the workflow manager over here, we also have a new button. If we click over here, this takes us to a page where we can add new statuses for the hotel files. And I made a few of these just to test based off of some of the files you gave me. But the idea here is that you can add as many workflows. And as well, workflow is just a word that I used here. If you want to change that to something else that you guys use, that's totally fine. Just let me know what it is. Anyway, so the idea is that you can add as a workflow, and then it'll just add as a different status over here. And you can add as many of these as you want. You can also drag and drop them to reorder them. So if you want, this one to be the first one in the chain, second, third, and so on, you can do that. And it will just reorder them and save them like that. Let's just add a new one here to demonstrate it. And you'll notice some of this is loading slow. This is just my internet. I'm working from home today, and I have a very slow internet connection. So that's just that. The first thing we do here is we give it a name. So we call it whatever status we want. So we'll just call it test status here for now. We can give it a description, call it anything we want. You can add a bullet list of tasks or things that need to be done while it's in the status if you want to. And then you assign it to somebody. So I'm just going to assign it to me so that nobody else gets emails on this. You give it a color code as well. And this is just to denote it and change it for when it comes up in the list. So when we've got a list of the different statuses and we look at the history, it will have this heading on it. So the idea here is that, you can mark all of your notes a certain color, or you'll know that when, it shows up as red, it's, this status or something. So that'll just give you guys flexibility there. And then you can also add additional emails for notifications. What's going to happen is that whenever a status of a hotel gets changed to something that you're assigned to, so if this was to get changed to this test status, I would get a notification email that was letting me know, hey, this has been assigned to you. You need to take care of this now. And then when I assign it to somebody else, they're going to get an email notification that it's been assigned to them. If you want to add additional people onto that, so if you wanted to be copied on an email just to know when something was assigned, you can add additional emails here and just separate them by commas, and everyone will get copied on that as well. So we'll save it here, and you'll see it gets added as the lowest one down here. It's got the color code that I put up here, this name, description, and who it's assigned to right here. We can click the magnifying glass to view it if we want to and just see what information we have. And then we can go back and edit it if we want to as well. So this area we'll use a lot at first. We'll add a whole bunch of them. But really, once we get this set up, you guys will only tinker with this when you need to change something or change who something's assigned to, or if you want to add some new task in the workflow or something like that. But for the most part, we'll leave this alone once we get everything set up on here. It will just give you guys the flexibility in the future for, if you get new employees or somebody changes to doing something else and you need to assign these tasks to different people, that will give you guys the flexibility to manage it within the system here. Now to see these in application, I'm first going to go over to the contracts page. So we'll go to a sponsor that I have going with a current contract here. Let's see, this one I think is good. Okay, so we're going to look at this current contract right here. Now, we've made some changes to the way the contracts work, and I'm going to get to that in a little while. But first, I'd like to show you this part because it's related to the workflows. What's going to happen now is whenever you add a hotel to a contract, it's going to trigger a workflow to be created that you can then mark as completed, or you can keep status of it and change it back and forth. But that's how you trigger that to start. You add it to a contract. So, for example, I'm just going to remove one here. I think I've added the maximum to this contract already. Okay. So we're going to add the Berkwood Inn to this contract. I've also added here when you add a hotel, you can say if it's a new sale or renewal, because I noticed that was marked on the contracts. So we'll just say it's a new one, and we'll just leave the price as 0. Now, since I added the Berkwood Inn here, what that has done is that has caused a change in the Berkwood Inn status to say that it's currently in progress. There's a workflow that's been created for it that needs to be resolved. Part of the changes that I'm going to work on today and tomorrow actually are adding options to see and change the status right here on this page. So that will be implemented at some point this week. But currently there's a different part for that. Anyway, so now that we've added that here, we've triggered the changes, let's take a look at the Berkwood Inn. And actually you'll see down here, since that workflow has been created, it automatically will assign it the status of whatever you keep the first one as. So I've just had this one as the, get initial information from Ken. That was the first thing I saw on your checklist. But again, we can change that to anything. But so it's going to do that, and then it's going to assign it to whoever it's assigned to, which happens to be me on this account. So that's the first indication right there. You'll see these links go somewhere too, and I'll get to that in a moment. But if we look at the hotel administration, I've added these little gear icons, and I'm going to make a key for everything so you'll know what all the iconography is, and we won't get confused there. But anything with a gear on it currently has a workflow that's open on it. So these hotels up here are all ones currently in progress. So this will be a really easy way for when you go to the hotel main page to be able to sort these out, because all the ones with the workflows will show up on top like it's sticky, and then everything else will come down below that. So you'll know that, at a glance that, oh, these ones right here are currently in progress. We need to do stuff with them. Now, like I said, I added the Berkwood Inn, so it created a workflow for it. We're going to view it. And we've got 2 new icons in the hotel page. I'm still getting around to styling this, just haven't had a chance yet. We've got the workflow over here, and this is going to show the history. And then we've got this up here, which lets me know, hey, this is currently in progress. Here's the status of it, and here's who it's assigned to. And whenever you guys log in, any of you will be able to see this information and see who it's assigned to and if it's open or not. So let's view the workflow right here. Let it load here. And you'll see right here we've got the color code for the first entry. We know that the workflow was created by me on the 19th today. Here's the assigned status, and here's who it's assigned to. So that's just the initial creation note that's created when the hotel is added to the contract. Now, I can add another note if I want to. So this is while it's currently in this status. And this is basically going to let me either add my notes as much as I want so I can keep track of everything. So I can say, got hotel address, still need logo. And we'll save my note right here. And you'll see it updates right here with my most recent one. It lets me know the date and the time that I made it. Here's the status, here's who it's assigned to, and here's the note author. So I actually made this one. And this will keep track of whoever's logged in and makes these notes or triggers the changes. They'll be classified as the note author. So this is still within my status. So I haven't actually changed the status or done anything. I've just added a note so I can go back and look at this later and go, oh, okay, on this date up here at this time, I made this note where I got these things. So let's say, I want to change my status. Now let's say I get all the rest of the information. So we're going to change the status. We'll let this load up here. Now, I'm going to make this look a little bit nicer. This is currently just in functionality mode. But these order as the order that you've added them. But you can pick anything. I haven't really restricted it. So if you want to move things forward and back and to the same status again and then to another one, that's totally fine. It's basically, this is just going to keep a history of the actions that you take with it so that at some point you can look back and see all the workflow that was done on a current hotel. So let's just change it to the second status. We'll receive the add copy. And then I can leave a note that say, got info and moving to next status. And obviously you can put much more information in here, but this gives you a nice little text editor where you can add pretty much anything you want. So we'll save that one. And we'll see here now it's a different status, different color because we've changed it. And I've assigned it to Bill Bross instead of my William Bross account. So I will have gotten an email to my address that's letting me know, hey, this status has been changed to you. It's basically going to say exactly like this. And so now this one, and you'll notice when I go back to the main page, Berkwood Inn is no longer on my list up here because that's no longer assigned to me. So that's assigned to somebody else. So when I log in with that Bill Bross account, it will show up on that list now. So this will be different for everyone depending on what is currently assigned to you. One really nice thing that you can do that I added here is you can click this button to display only my notes. Now it's not going to do anything on this one because I have made all of these notes right here. But what it will do is it will narrow it down to only display notes that either you were the author of or when it was assigned to you. So in those two cases, it will show the notes. Otherwise, it will hide everything else. That way, you can really narrow it down because as these get to have a lot of entries, it may get cumbersome just to find stuff that you worked on if you want to look at that. So that will let you do that. Then the final function that I added up here is a mark as complete. So all you have to do for this one is just check that box. We'll wait for the thing to load here. Just letting you know that, do you want to mark this as complete? You can't make any entries or notes after you've completed it, and you can leave a note here. So we're just going to say closing this workflow. And we're going to mark it as complete. Now you notice when we mark it as complete, it's been changed the color again. It's been marked as completed by me on this date, and then here's my note that I made. And then you'll see here it's going to be marked as completed, and we've got no more buttons. We can't change anything else about it because we've closed that workflow. If we want to open a new workflow on this one, all we have to do is add it to a new contract, and it will automatically create that and start the process all over again. And then you'll notice one more thing here when we go back to the hotel page. Berkwood Inn no longer has the gears next to it because it's been closed out. So this will really help you manage what's still open, what's closed. I can use this information all over the system now that it's set up. And so if we need that added anywhere, like I said, it's pretty easy just to start adding that in now that those functions are written. And like I said, I'm going to make some extensive changes to the contract page where those are added so that you can change the status directly from there. So if you don't want it to end up in that first status, you can pick something else and just move it immediately without having to go somewhere else. All right. Let's take a look at the contracts now and the changes that I made there. We'll look into that a lot more. Oh, actually, I take that back. One more thing I want to show you here. You asked me during the meeting if we could have different icons for the hotels that were currently in progress and had a workflow going. And the answer is yes, I've done that. So let me just do a quick route search here, and I'll display this. Let me say we're going to Detroit. All right. I've added this icon here, and again, I can change the icons. The important thing is that we have the functionality, and the icons are incredibly easy to change. So if you want them to be different, just let me know. But I've added this little warning icon now for hotels that are in progress. So you'll know that this orange one are ones that are in your database, and then this one is in your database, and you've got a workflow currently going on it. So that's how they're going to show up, and you'll see it in this list over on the left here too. And so we've actually got two of them right here. So I've done that on all the maps now, and like I said, changing the icons super easy. We'll add a legend too, so you know what all the icons mean once we add them on here. All right, now let's go back to the changes I made for the contracts. We're going to go to the sponsors, and I think the Dusty Cellar one is the one that I've been working on. All right. Now, these changes are all based on what we talked about during the meeting and some of the things that we really wanted to change and include in the contracts and doing some of the calculations and things like that. I've changed some of the general information up here if we edit it. I'll let this load. All right. I've added as well for the contract, so you'll know if the contract is a new sale or renewal. Basically what this will let us do is when we set up the reports, we can easily split these apart. So you'll easily be able to know which contracts are for the month are new, which ones are renewals, how much money coming in is for new sales, how much money coming in is for renewals. This will just let us split this apart, make it very easy. We've got contract number here. I've added the start and end dates. The base price. I've added total number of payments, and this may be able to change. What I really like to do is for us to get all the contract stuff set up, and then based on that, we'll set up the payment system. But what this will do right now is this will take the number of payments that you want to receive from them and divide it out in the even an even amount of time for between the start date and the end date, so that you have, if it's six payments over 1 year, they pay every 2 months or something like that. But we can totally change that around. I've also added contract notes here, and these will just show up on the contract here. And then the same thing with the tax rates. I've gotten rid of the contract or the locations that we had added on here. And instead, as we talked about, I've added locations directly to the hotels when you add them. So let's just go back here and demonstrate that real quick because it's really easy. When we add a new hotel to a sponsor, we will pick the hotel first, and then we'll also pick the sponsor location. So you can either use the sponsor main address, or you can pick any locations that they've added, and they show up down here in this bottom box. And then I've also had to start an end date or expiration date to adding hotels to sponsors. So we're going to use that information for the contracts. I figured that would be the easiest way. That will automatically include any locations that are tied to any of these hotels. And you can see right here, these all are tied to different these locations right here that I've added so far. Now, we looked at this a little bit before, but anyway, new sales or renewals, you can pick that. We've already added all the hotels. That's why none show up right here. And then price if you want to add it there. Then you just have the option, to edit or delete these if you want to. And as I said before, I'm going to add things so you can change the status and the workflow of these directly from this spot. Payments, like I said, still haven't done anything with that. We're going to wait until everything else is settled before we start working the payment system. But I've also added some stats down here at the bottom so you can get a quick glance of information you've already added. So the contract length, 12 months. Here's the calculated price based on $1 per room per month. Here is if you've set up tax and a tax rate, here's the tax they're going to pay. Here is the discount, and the discount is based on how much you've decided to charge them, and then it subtracts that from the calculated price and gives you the discount. And then it will give you the payment schedule. So those would be 6 payments of $282.67 each. So like I said, it just does all that basic math there based on the information we have. So you don't actually have to decide what any of these can be. You just enter the relevant information up here with the number of payments and the contract length, tax if you want to or not. And then the base price is mainly what I'm using here, but it will add the base price plus if you had added any extra money to the hotels, it will add that all into the total here. And then you've got the overall total and the remaining total. Right now they're the same, but the remaining total will take into account any payments that have been made once we add that part in there. And then finally, we can view the contract here, and we'll pull this up. And this should look pretty familiar because it looks pretty much like the document you sent me. It's going to put this kind of text in here. It's going to work out what the contract interval is, and then here is the sponsor. It's going to split any hotels up by location. So for this example here, I have them all in the same location, but had I moved them out to different locations, it would show up as location, and then hotels, and then this block repeated over and over for any other locations that you added here or were relevant to any hotels that were on here. And you can see these ones are marked as new because these are new sales and not renewals. And then I added this little calculation block here, so it's going to give you 5 hotels that have been added. Here's the room total. Here is your calculation right here, and then here's what it calculates as the discount. These are the same calculations that are on the previous page, and then the total price right here. Here's the contract notes that were at the bottom, or sorry, those that were an option before. And then we've got our signature blocks down here that automatically fill in. Now, this is going to auto-generate for any contract you make, so it will auto-generate in this format. Any changes that we need to make, we can totally do. You just have to let me know what they are. And as we refine the contracts and the payments, we'll make these more refined as well. But like I said, this will allow you to generate these directly from there. All right, I believe that is all I have to show you for this update. Like I said, I'm going to include a big wall of text explaining all of these also, and I'm going to outline some of the things that we're going to work on in the next week. All right, thanks, guys. If you need any help or you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.